The council chamber floated in the void between stars, a monument to arrogance older than human civilization. Crystalline walls pulsed with bioluminescent patterns, reflecting the faces of 1,000 species who had earned their place through conquest, submission, or ancient birthright. At the center stood Ambassador Chen Wei, alone. She was the first human to ever stand in this room. Her uniform bore no weapons, no signs of aggression, only Earth's blue marble emblem stitched over her heart. Around her, the Tribunal of Ascended Worlds loomed on elevated platforms, their forms ranging from gaseous clouds to beings made of living metal. High Arbiter Quanva, a creature resembling a mantis sculpted from obsidian and starlight, leaned forward. Its voice echoed through translation nodes embedded in Chen's skull. "We have reviewed your application for membership in the Galactic Accord," Quanva announced, its tone dripping with theatrical formality. "The answer is no." Chen's jaw tightened, but her voice remained steady. "May I ask why?" A ripple of what might have been laughter passed through the assembled delegates. A gelatinous being called Thorax pulsed with amber light as it spoke. "Your species is too young, too violent, too chaotic." "We've ended our global wars," Chen countered. "We've unified our governments. We've developed faster-than-light travel independently, without your guidance. What more do you require?" Quanva's mandibles clicked in what Chen had learned was contempt. "You misunderstand, human. This is not about achievement. It is about nature. Your kind lacks the fundamental quality necessary for civilization among the stars. And what quality is that? Compliance." The word hung in the air like a death sentence. Another delegate, a serpentine creature wrapped in robes of living flame, slithered closer to its platform's edge. "You do not follow the natural order. You question authority. You refuse to accept your place. Every species, we admit, must understand their role in the hierarchy. You would be chaos incarnate." Chen felt her pulse quicken, but she forced herself to breathe. "So this isn't about whether we're ready. It's about whether we'll obey." "Precisely," Quanva said, almost pleased. "The galaxy has thrived for 70 million years under our stewardship because we maintain order. Species like yours, unpredictable, defiant, endlessly questioning, threaten that order. Then what do you expect us to do? Return to your world. Accept your isolation. In perhaps another 1,000 years, when your civilization has matured into something more manageable, you may reapply." Quanva gestured dismissively with one blade-like limb. "Until then, Earth remains under quarantine protocols. Any human vessel that crosses beyond your designated boundary will be destroyed without warning." Chen's fists clenched at her sides. "You're caging us. We are protecting the galaxy from you." The other delegates murmured their agreement, a chorus of alien voices united in their rejection. Chen scanned their faces, if they could be called faces, searching for even one hint of sympathy or doubt. She found none. "There is one more thing," Quanva continued, its tone shifting to something almost cruel. "We are aware of your colony ships, the 3 vessels currently en route to neighboring star systems. They will be intercepted and destroyed. Your expansion ends here." Chen's blood ran cold. "Those ships carry 10,000 civilians each, families, children. Then you should have taught them to respect boundaries." Something broke inside Chen in that moment. Not her spirit, but her last shred of faith that reason could bridge this divide. She straightened her spine, lifted her chin, and met Quanva's multifaceted gaze with steel in her eyes. "You've made a mistake," she said quietly. "Is that a threat, Ambassador?" "No. An observation." Chen turned slowly, making eye contact with as many delegates as her human eyes could track. "You assume that by denying us a seat at your table, you control our destiny. You assume that without your permission, we'll simply fade into obscurity or destroy ourselves. You assume we need you." She paused at the chamber's exit, her hand on the crystalline door. "But humanity has never asked permission to exist. We didn't ask the Ice Age for permission to survive. We didn't ask the ocean for permission to cross it. We didn't ask the cosmos for permission to reach it. And we won't ask you for permission to thrive among the stars." Quanva's laugh was like breaking glass. Bold words for a species we could erase with a single command. Chen smiled, a cold, defiant expression that didn't reach her eyes. "You could try, but then you'd have to explain to all these assembled civilizations why you broke your own laws about unprovoked aggression. You've caged us legally, Arbiter. That means we're still playing by rules." She pushed through the door. Humanity's greatest talent isn't war or science or art. It's finding loopholes. The door sealed behind her with a sound like a tombstone sliding into place. Behind her, in the council chamber, several delegates exchanged uneasy glances. Quanva dismissed their concerns with a wave, an impotent species making empty threats. They will learn their place or they will perish in obscurity. But deep in the station's docking bay, as Chen's shuttle prepared for departure, she activated her encrypted communicator. Mission accomplished, she transmitted to Earth. They rejected us, just as planned. On the other end, Director Sarah Okonkwo's voice crackled through. And the colony ships? They believe they're still en route. They have no idea we already diverted them 2 weeks ago. Good. Humanity doesn't need their permission. We never did. Chen stared through the viewport at the retreating council station, a jewel of alien civilization floating against the black. Let them keep their seat at the table, she whispered. We'll build our own. 23 years after the rejection, the galaxy continued as it always had, oblivious to the cancer growing at its edges. The Galactic Accord believed humanity had learned its lesson. Long-range scans of Earth's solar system showed appropriate levels of activity, controlled fusion experiments, orbital construction, modest asteroid mining. A species quietly accepting its cage. They had no idea how wrong they were. In a star system the Accord had designated UGC 7849, considered worthless due to its lack of habitable planets and strategic resources. Commander Marcus Reeves stood on the observation deck of Perimeter Station 7. Through reinforced viewports, he watched as mining drones carved apart a metallic asteroid the size of Manhattan. How many is that now? Asked his second-in-command, Lieutenant Yuki Tanaka, reviewing data on a holographic display. 47 stations operational. 16 more under construction. Marcus pulled up a star chart that would have given the Accord's military strategists nightmares. Red dots marked human outposts scattered across 24 worthless systems. We're ahead of schedule. And they still haven't noticed? They're not looking. As far as the Accord is concerned, we're still trapped in Sol System, nursing our wounded pride. Marcus zoomed in on their current location. We're exploiting the fundamental flaw in their thinking. Tanaka raised an eyebrow. Which is? They assume value is objective. They've cataloged every system in the galaxy based on their needs. Habitable planets, rare minerals, strategic choke points. Anything that doesn't meet their criteria gets labeled worthless and ignored. He gestured to the mining operation below. But we don't need their definition of valuable. We need raw materials, energy, and space. These worthless systems are perfect. The truth was even more audacious than it appeared. Earth's greatest minds had spent 2 decades engineering a shadow civilization. While the Accord surveillance drones monitored Sol System, watching humanity's contained expansion within its designated borders, they completely missed the 10,000 stealth vessels that had slipped past their sensors. Humanity had learned from the Accord's own arrogance. Every major civilization relied on the same detection protocols, the same energy signatures, the same assumptions about how spacefaring species operated. Human engineers had simply changed the rules. Their ships ran cold, powered by fusion reactors designed to mimic natural cosmic background radiation. Their communications bounced through quantum entanglement relays that left no detectable trace. Their stations hid in stellar debris fields, camouflaged not through exotic technology but through simple, patient cleverness. Report from New Shanghai Station, Tanaka announced, reading an incoming transmission. The fabrication yards are operational. They're projecting they can produce 15 corvettes per month within 2 years. Marcus nodded slowly. And the Prometheus Initiative? Tanaka's expression grew more serious. Dr. Adeyemi says they've achieved successful prototype testing. The weapon works, Marcus. It actually works. For a moment, both officers fell silent, contemplating what that meant. The Prometheus device was humanity's insurance policy. A weapon system so revolutionary, so fundamentally disruptive to conventional space warfare, that it would level the playing field against any Accord aggression. They would need it. Sir, incoming vessel. Signature matches the courier from Zendara Station. Marcus straightened. That's Captain Okafor's command. Put them through. The holographic display shifted to show a woman with graying hair and sharp eyes. Captain Chioma Okafor had been among the first to volunteer for the deep space missions, spending 2 decades away from Earth building humanity's hidden empire. Commander Reeves. I'm uploading my mission report now, but you need to hear this directly. Okafor's expression was grim. We encountered an Accord survey vessel in the Kepler 442 system. Marcus felt his blood chill. Did they detect you? No. We went dark the moment they entered scanner range. But Marcus, they weren't surveying. They were building. The implications hit like a physical blow. Explain. They're constructing a listening post. A big one. When it's operational, it'll have sensor coverage over 17 systems, including 4 of ours. Okafor pulled up tactical data. If we don't do something, they'll discover our entire outer ring within 6 months. Tanaka looked to Marcus. We could relocate those stations and lose 3 years of construction, millions of tons of processed materials, strategic positioning. Marcus shook his head. No, we're not running. Then what do we do? Okafor asked. Marcus stared at the star chart, his mind racing through possibilities. For 23 years, humanity had operated in the shadows, building strength while the galaxy ignored them. They'd always known this moment would come, the moment when hiding was no longer enough. How long until their listening post is operational? 4 months. Maybe 5 if they encounter technical difficulties. Then we have 4 months to give them something more interesting to listen to. Marcus pulled up a broader strategic map. Okafor, return to Zendara and coordinate with the battle group commanders. Tanaka, send encrypted burst transmissions to all station chiefs. Priority Alpha. What are your orders, sir? Marcus took a breath, feeling the weight of what he was about to set in motion. We're accelerating the timeline. Phase 2 begins now. Phase 2? Tanaka's eyes widened. Sir, we're not scheduled for active operations for another 3 years. We're not ready. We're ready enough. The Accord wanted to cage us to make us invisible, so we became invisible, but we didn't do it to hide forever. He met their gazes with absolute certainty. We did it to grow strong enough that when we finally reveal ourselves, they can't stop us. Okafor nodded slowly. What's our first target? Marcus highlighted a system on the map, a minor Accord colony called Velcora, known primarily for its agricultural output and minimal defenses. To the Accord, it was unremarkable. To humanity, it was perfect. We're going to do what they claimed we couldn't. We're going to establish formal contact with another species, without the Accord's permission. He zoomed in on the planet below, where 3 million Velcorans lived their lives under Accord governance, unaware that everything was about to change, and then we're going to teach them something humanity learned a long time ago, the difference between asking for permission and asking for forgiveness. The attack on Velcora came not with fire but with truth. When the Velcoran Agricultural Collective detected the human vessel entering orbit, they immediately alerted Accord authorities. Within hours, 3 Accord patrol ships arrived, weapons hot and ready to enforce the quarantine humanity had violated. They found the human ship broadcasting on every available frequency. Not threats. Not demands. History. And that is why we were denied membership. Captain Okafor's voice echoed across Velcora's information networks. Not because we were unqualified. Not because we were dangerous. But because we refused to bow. On the planet's surface, in cities and farming communes, Velcorans gathered around public displays, listening to a human woman recount the story of the rejection. She spoke of humanity's achievements, their peaceful unification, their independent development of FTL travel, and the Accord's cold dismissal. We ask you, people of Velcora, to consider your own history. Okafor continued. When did you join the Accord? What price did you pay for that membership? And most importantly, are you allowed to leave? High Arbiter Kwanva received the transmission aboard the Accord flagship Eternal Judgment, and rage filled its ancient consciousness. Destroy that vessel immediately. But Commander Seftor, the fleet's tactical officer, hesitated. High Arbiter, the humans are broadcasting from within the planet's orbital range. If we fire, debris could impact populated areas. Velcoran casualties would be significant. Then board them. I want those humans executed for violating. Sir, we're receiving reports from 17 other systems. Human vessels have appeared simultaneously across Accord space, all broadcasting, all telling the same story. Kwanva felt something it hadn't experienced in 10,000 years. Uncertainty. How many vessels? At least 20 confirmed. All unarmed. All broadcasting historical records, treaties, and evidence. Evidence of what? Seftor's voice dropped. Species that requested to leave the Accord and were refused. Trade agreements structured to ensure dependency. Military interventions disguised as peacekeeping operations. High Arbiter, the humans have compiled 70 million years of our own records and are showing the galaxy what we've done to maintain order. Below, on Velcora, Agricultural Administrator Pelmara watched the human broadcast with growing horror, not at humanity, but at recognition. The patterns Okafor described matched Velcora's own history perfectly. They had joined the Accord 4,000 years ago after a delegation visited their world and offered protection, technology, and prosperity. What they hadn't mentioned was that Velcora would become perpetually dependent on Accord technology they couldn't replicate, bound by treaties they couldn't renegotiate, governed by laws they couldn't change. Pelmara had always assumed this was simply how civilization worked. Now, watching this human woman speak with passion about sovereignty and self-determination, he realized his entire world had been a cage disguised as a garden. He wasn't alone in this realization. Across 17 systems, on 43 different worlds, populations began asking questions their governments couldn't comfortably answer. The humans hadn't fired a single shot, hadn't threatened anyone, hadn't conquered anything. They had simply revealed the truth, and truth was the most dangerous weapon in the galaxy. In the Accord Council chamber, emergency session was in chaos. We must respond with force. Delegate Thorax pulsed violent crimson. This is an act of war. Against whom? Another delegate challenged. They haven't attacked anyone. They're broadcasting public information, most of it from our own archives. They violated the quarantine, a quarantine they never agreed to. We imposed it unilaterally. The Serpentine delegate who had once dismissed Chen Wei now found itself in the uncomfortable position of defending procedural law. If we attack them for broadcasting, we reveal ourselves as exactly what they claim we are. Quanva slammed its blade limbs against its platform. Enough! The humans have made themselves a threat through cunning and subversion. We will— The chamber's doors exploded inward. Not physically, the station's defenses remained intact. But every display, every communication node, every holographic projector suddenly showed the same image. Ambassador Chen Wei, 23 years older but no less defiant. Standing on what appeared to be a massive space station humanity had no right to possess. Greetings, Tribunal of Ascended Worlds, Chen said, her voice carrying the weight of vindication. I thought it was time we had another conversation. This is a secure facility. Quanva sputtered. How did you— Oh, we've been inside your systems for years, Arbiter. Surely you didn't think we spent 2 decades just hiding. Chen smiled. We've been learning, studying, growing. While you assumed we were cowering in our cage, we were becoming something you never anticipated. Behind her, the view shifted to show dozens of human installations, fleets of ships, entire civilizations' worth of infrastructure spread across supposedly worthless star systems. You told us we lacked compliance, Chen continued. You were right, we do, and it's made us ungovernable, unstoppable, and utterly uninterested in your permission. You are outlaws. Pirates, we will hunt you across the galaxy. With what justification? We haven't conquered any Accord worlds. We haven't attacked your ships even when they threatened ours. We've operated entirely within unclaimed space using resources no one else wanted. Chen's expression hardened. By your own laws, we've done nothing wrong. The only thing we've done is refuse to remain invisible. Another delegate spoke up. What do you want, human? What we've always wanted. Recognition. Not membership in your Accord. We'll pass on that, thank you. But recognition that humanity exists. That we have the right to explore the galaxy, to make contact with other species, to build our own civilization without your interference. And if we refuse, Chen's smile turned cold, then we'll continue doing exactly what we're doing. We'll keep revealing the truth about how the Accord maintains power. We'll keep offering alternatives to species that want them. We'll keep growing, building, and thriving in every corner of space you've ignored. She leaned forward. And eventually you'll realize that you have 2 choices. Accept that humanity charts its own course or spend the rest of eternity trying and failing to stop us. This is madness, Quanva roared. You are one species against thousands. We are one species that's already survived ice ages, plagues, world wars, and extinction-level asteroids without your help, Chen countered. We're one species that went from horse-drawn carriages to walking on our moon in 66 years. We're one species that unified 7 billion individuals into a single civilization through choice rather than conquest. She paused. You asked us what quality we lacked. I'll tell you, we lack the ability to stay down when you push us. We lack the wisdom to accept cages. We lack the common sense to believe that no means forever. The chamber fell silent. Chen took a breath, and when she spoke again, her voice was softer, but no less firm. Humanity makes its own rules now. You can oppose us, ignore us, or work with us, but you cannot unmake us. We're here, we're staying, and no tribunal, no matter how ancient or powerful, will ever again tell us where we can or cannot go among the stars. The transmission ended. For a long moment, the assembled delegates sat in stunned silence. Then slowly, Quanva spoke. What have we done? The Serpentine delegate answered quietly. We caged the one species in the galaxy that sees cages as challenges rather than limits. We told creatures built for exploration that they couldn't explore. We told survivors that they couldn't survive. And now we'll spend the next 1,000 years learning the same lesson the Ice Age, the ocean, and the cosmos already learned. The delegate turned away from the empty chamber where Chen's hologram had stood. You cannot stop humanity. You can only get out of its way. Far across the galaxy on Earth, Chen Wei stood in mission control and watched as reports flooded in. 43 worlds had begun formal inquiries into their Accord membership terms. 7 species had reached out to humanity directly, requesting information on self-governance. The quarantine around Sol System had been officially complicated. We did it, Director Okonkwo said beside her. We actually did it. Chen shook her head, a small smile on her lips. We're just getting started. Earth's seat stood empty because they never built one for us, so we built our own table. She looked up at the stars visible through the control room's dome, at the infinite possibility spread across the cosmos, and thought about every human who would follow in her footsteps. Explorers, dreamers, rebels who would carry humanity's fire to distant suns, and everyone who wants to join us is welcome.